can't really, it's going to feel that way for a little bit here. So, but it's business as usual. Back to work here. We know the opponent that's coming in. This is a physical, violent team coming off of 2 big wins. Playing pretty good football right now. So certainly we got our hands full, and we got to be on top of our game to get out there and compete, try to get a win here back at home. So this will be day one. Our guys will be ready to go.
All the injuries, but you have a short week next week. How does that factor into what happens with guys this week, next week? Is there any?
Not really. I think more than anything, we have to focus on right now, the here and now. There are a couple of guys that it could be all right if it's close enough. Do you try to play them this week, knowing that maybe if you do, then they're probably out for Green Bay anyway? So there's a couple of those guys. I'm not going to say who they are, but that may have a little bit. But I think more than anything, it's about this one right in front of us, and who we'll have available or who we think can be available.
One of the guys that we didn't ask about the other day, and we had a toe, left foot cramping, but had a toe too. What's going on with that?
Yeah, he won't practice today, so he's a day-to-day. We'll see how it goes.
You always preach depth at every spot,
yeah.
And I know you respect the way Tracy has battled back from the Achilles injury and just what he means for the football team. Just when you have an injury like you do to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, to have a veteran that's able to step in, just maybe how valuable is that at this point?
Yeah, and it's very valuable. We're fortunate to have depth in a number of areas, and that's one of them is at that position there. So, having a guy like Tracy, who's got time on task, somebody we got a lot of faith in and trust in, that alleviates a lot of pressure and stress for us, because we know he's game ready. He's been in it. He hadn't batted one eye at it. He just goes to work. And he does anything we ask him to do. He's been playing special teams, been playing for us a little bit here, so certainly he's taken on a big role now, and we have a ton of faith in Trace. So he's another guy. I'm glad he's here with us.
The optimism that you guys.
I'm sorry. I'll get you next. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dan, when you're coming off a tough loss like you did last week and compounded with the injuries, what do you look for to see if your guys are bouncing back?
I think more than anything, it's about. I told the guys this morning, we can get into specifics of how do you beat this team, but to me, it's more. It is about us, not more. It's about us, and I came away, and when you look back, I just think about, man, let's get back to what we're about, our identity. And I think we got to establish our identity. And if that's our focus and that's the way we practice, that's the way we attack it, I think everything else will fall right into place. So let's get back to all those things that we preach on offense and defense, the finish, the population of the football, striking the football, biting the ball, offensively finishing in a dominating position. And that's got to be the focus, and it starts today, I think we do that, we'll be okay.
Coach, I know it's next man up all the time, but with CJ, just what he was trying to do was change the culture of the defense. Is optimism number one that you guys will have him back this year, and then just talk about what he's done as far as helping prepare the next guys up, as well.
Yeah, look, losing a guy like CJ is going to hurt anytime. He's an impactful player, and his energy is infectious, and look, I hate it for him. I hate it for him. I hate it for us. But man, this train doesn't stop, and so with that, and I think him being around has definitely made guys better. Those around him better, and there again, just goes back to the injury question. Hey man, we're fortunate we got Tracy, and he'll be ready to roll. And now some of that energy that slack's got to be picked up by the rest of the guys, man. It's got to come from somewhere else. And it doesn't have to come from one. It ought to come collectively is what it ought to do.
He had a surgery, or is he going to go the rehab route?
Say it again?
Will he have surgery, or is he going to go the rehab route, CJ?
Yeah, he will. He will. And you asked about a lot. Don't quite know, but I know that, the reports that we've gotten back on it is that it was a very clean injury. And that's normally good for, surgery, recovery, all of those things. So I certainly think there's a chance that we get him back.
A bunch of roster spots open up. We know you filled 3 of them with chasing the 2 practice squad promotions. Have you figured out what you're doing with that 4th spot yet?
I think we're hanging tight for now. We're going to hang tight. And then, certainly we're talking about, some of these guys we may elevate off the practice squad. A lot of that's going to depend on who's available, who's not. But, all those guys, all in any that we have, there's a reason why they're here and a reason why they would go to the game for us. We trust them.
Another mobile quarterback you're facing, how do you improve on keeping this quarterback in the pocket?
Yeah, look, there again, it's about discipline. You go back and look at every one of the reps last week against Gino where, man, we had everybody doing their job, and it's, where's the clean win? We didn't have a clean win, but even when everybody just does their responsibility, their gap, we wrap tight, we're where we're supposed to be, he's got nowhere to go. It's hard for him to make a throw out of there. And at some point, he's just looking to run, and he's got nowhere to go. And it's the reason why that 3rd and 18, he couldn't there was nowhere to go. We finally got him on the run. He can't throw it. But when we did those last week, Gino had nowhere to go. So I think it goes back to, man, let's just hone in on the discipline of it. If everybody will just stay disciplined and do your job, you don't need to do more than that. And let the production come to you, not the other way around.
Top 10 in the league. Obviously, this is a little bit different beast coming to town. Just the challenges that they possess, and what have you liked about your run defense the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, look, first, the opponent is a big challenge, for a couple of reasons. One, this offensive line is pretty good. They run off the football. They do a good job on the backside cuts. They're very athletic. They're pretty nasty group. And then, this number 7 he's an elusive back. He's looks like a power back, but he's really got excellent feet. You give him a lane, give him space, and that's where he's pretty dangerous. But there again, population of the football, close the gaps down, and we'll be good. And then they bring in Algiers, and that guy, he's power. Now that guy, he's about running through your face, and so it's a 1-2 punch, totally 2 different styles, and we got to be ready to adapt quickly, with the way they do it. Now, back to what we've done, that was one of the focuses. Let's be better against the run, try to make teams more one-dimensional, and we've done a pretty good job of that. This team they're going to want to try to run the ball more than 30 times. I mean, that's really what they want to do. So they're not going to be discouraged by what goes on. They'll continue to hand it off. So, man, it's going to take all the way through the 4th quarter, man. That strain, that discipline, that effort, that finish, that population of the football, you got to do it time in and time out, over and over and over, because it only takes one to get you.
Run game, 2 things on that. Just how does it change if David can't go? And then part 2 is how ready is Jameer for a bigger role, carrying the ball?
Yeah, well, to us, we're going to treat it as business as usual. We're not going to let it affect us. We feel good about the backs we have. Certainly Gibbs can get more of a role. And we're going to do what we do, And really our focus was on how we attack this opponent more than the backs that we have.
For that, too, I mean, he's capable of handling a bigger...
We'll find out.
James Houston estimated timetable for how long he's out?
He could be. That's a tough one, too. His is... he may be very similar to Ducey, could be end of the year potentially, but there again, I don't want to sit here and tell you yes, and then we don't get him back, but I do think there's a chance by the end of the year we could get him back.
It's already 2 weeks. It's only 2 weeks in, but it just feels like it's already been such a wave of emotions. You come in, obviously get the big win, lose that at home, then the injuries. What do you draw on right now to make sure this team stays together, going forward and not fall apart? It's early, but
listen, I hate losing, but I love this because this is, I just feel like this is what we're all about, and we're back to reality. We're back in the mud, and it's doom and gloom outside of this building and this world, and man, let's just hunker down and go to work, and let's get back to what we do well, and it takes all of us to win. It's going to take all 3 phases, and I just feel like that's what we do best. And I know our guys, I know our coaches, and man, this is challenge accepted, challenge accepted. So I feel really good. I do. And I know the opponent's coming in. And if we don't get back to our identity, this team will take your soul. And so that's the motivation.
Yeah,
Smith had your
Corey and Jeremy.
Dan, you and Arthur Smith had your coaching starts at the same time. The other day, he had really glowing remarks to say about you. Said that he loves you. Said that, talked about your kneecaps comment and said that he thought the league was getting a little bit too corporate. Just want to know what your thoughts are.
Who said that?
Arthur Smith.
Oh,
He said that the league was getting a little bit too corporate and boring. What are your thoughts on him and just kind of connection you guys have?
Well, look, Arthur's a guy from afar that I've always had a lot of respect for, at Tennessee, because he's really running a lot of the same system he did there. He uses a lot of heavy sets. It's a lot of different schemes. He adapts well to what he has, and he's carried that over there. And they've been known ever since he's been there as a real physical team, and they want to play physical football, man, downhill, and then play pass off of that, and certainly bringing in, Coach Nilsson over there, who I worked with in New Orleans, man, brings a whole different attitude, system, everything. So I just think the guy is he is a high-level thinker, and I think he wants a physical team. He wants a disciplined team, and he's got a lot of weapons to work, and he uses them. He uses them properly. So look, we got our work cut out for us.
Just to go back to Amon-Ra, there was kind of a suggestion during the broadcast that he was getting a steel plate in his shoe, which usually means something like turf toe. Is that what he's dealing with?
Well, if he is, we're going to put a steel toe in the other shoe too, all right? Because we had a player who did that and only put it in one and then wondered why his other foot hurt. So we'll make sure we balance it out. But we could, we look into all that, and we'll do whatever's needed to get him to where he feels right,